We all do it, right? You pay your insurance premiums month after month, year after year, and you feel safe. You think you're covered. But then the worst happens. You make a claim and you get a denial. Why? Well, it often comes down to just a handful of words, words buried deep in your policy that quietly hold all the power. Let's decode them.
And this is the part that feels so wrong, isn't it? It's a nightmare scenario. You can have a real, legitimate, absolutely devastating loss. You can do everything you're supposed to do, and still, you get that rejection letter. The reason isn't because your loss wasn't real. Oh no, it's because it didn't play by the secret rules of the insurance game. Let's start with the most confusing rule of them all.
All right, the first term you absolutely have to get your head around is proximate cause. Now, when something goes wrong, our brains naturally look for what happened first, the first domino to fall. But insurers, they don't think like that. They're on a hunt for something else entirely, the single dominant cause of the damage.
And this difference is everything. It's not about what kicked off the chain of events. It's about what was the most powerful, the most effective force that actually produced the final damage you're claiming for. Honestly, this one little concept is worth thousands of claims in Kenya are either won or lost. Let me show you exactly what I mean. Okay, so picture this. A big storm hits, cracks your roof. That's covered by your policy. Great. But maybe you don't notice it right away. Water slowly leaks in for weeks. And then mold starts to grow in the ceiling. And finally, the whole thing collapses. You file a claim for the collapsed ceiling, but the insurer might come back and say, hold on, the storm didn't cause the collapse. The proximate cause was the mold and the slow, gradual water damage, and our policy specifically excludes that. See what happened? The storm may have started it, but they'll argue the mold finished it, and that's the one they care about. So that's what happens after a loss. But believe it or not, there are rules that can destroy your policy from the very beginning, long before anything ever goes wrong. This brings us to what you tell your insurer when you first sign up, and a principle that asks more of you than pretty much any other contract you'll ever sign. It's a fancy Latin term, uberrima fide, which literally means utmost good faith. But what it means in the real world is that you have a legal duty to volunteer information. You have to tell them every single important fact that might make them think twice about insuring you, even if they never ask you the question directly. In insurance, what you don't say can be just as important as what you do say. Think about how different this is. In almost any other deal, you just have to answer the questions you're asked honestly. Simple. But with insurance, oh no. The burden is on you to basically think like an insurer and tell them things they might not have even thought to ask about. It's a huge shift in responsibility that catches so many people out. So what counts as a material fact? Well, it's pretty much anything that could change their mind. Did you have a small fire at your shop 5 years back? That's material. Have some nagging health issues you haven't seen a doctor about yet for life insurance? That's material. Did you put a new engine in your car? Change jobs to something a bit more dangerous? You have to tell them.
And here is the punchline, and it is brutal. If you fail to disclose a material fact, even if it was a total accident, the insurer has the right to declare your policy void. And void means it's as if the contract never existed in the first place. Not only will they deny your claim, they can often keep all the premiums you've already paid. You end up with absolutely nothing.
Okay, so let's imagine you've navigated the minefields of proximate cause and disclosure. Your claim gets approved. Yes! But then the payout offer lands in your inbox, and it's way, way less than you thought. This is the moment where people feel really cheated. But again, it's all down to another core principle of insurance. I mean, look at this. This is a real-life example. Someone buys a car for 2.4 million Kenyan shillings. A few years later, it's a total write-off. The insurer comes back with an offer of just 1.15 million. The owner is, of course, absolutely furious. How is that even remotely fair? The answer is one single word: indemnity. Here's the key. The whole point of indemnity is not to give you a brand new car. It's to put you back in the exact same financial spot you were the second before the crash. And at that moment, you didn't own a new car, did you? You owned a 4-year-old car. So insurance pays you for what you actually lost, not for what you once paid for it. And this is where the math really matters. Insurers work on market value, not purchase price. They don't care that you paid 100,000 shillings for that TV 3 years ago. What they care about is what a 3-year-old TV of that exact model is worth today. That's the figure they'll pay, and it's almost always less than you think.
So the insurer has paid you out based on that market value, your claim is settled. But what if somebody else was actually responsible for the damage? Well, this is where the insurer gets to do something that surprises a lot of people. They literally get to step into your shoes. The word for this is subrogation. The idea is simple. You can't get paid twice for the same loss, right? Once from your insurer and a second time from suing the person who caused it. So, the law gives your insurance company the right to take over your legal fight to go after that third party and get their money back. Let's think about a classic Nairobi traffic scenario. A Matatu driver swerves and smashes into your car. It's clearly their fault. Your insurer pays to get your car fixed. Then, 6 months down the line, you get a call to be a witness in court. You see, your insurer is now suing the Matatu owner in your name to recover the repair costs, and if they win, that money goes straight back to them, not you. And that brings us to the final, and maybe the most critical part of your entire policy, the fine print. Because in every single insurance document, there are 2 lists. And these 2 lists are responsible for quietly killing more legitimate claims than everything else we've talked about combined. First up, you've got the exclusions. This is the hard no list. This is the stuff the policy will simply never pay for, end of story. We're talking about things like normal wear and tear on your car, any damage from riots or civil unrest, and definitely anything that happens while driving under the influence. You have to read this list. It is not optional. The second list is for warranties. Now, these are not suggestions. These are strict, ironclad promises that you make to the insurer. You are promising that you will keep that specific car tracker activated. You promise that you'll get your fire extinguishers serviced every year. You promise that only the people named on the policy will ever drive your car. And this is the absolute kicker. This is what you really need to hear. If you break a warranty, your insurance cover can be suspended. And here's the crazy part. It's suspended even if your broken promise had nothing to do with your claim. So your fire extinguisher service is out of date, and then your shop gets flooded. The insurer can see you broke a warranty and deny your flood claim, even though the 2 things are totally unrelated. It's that serious. So there they are. Proximate cause, utmost good faith, indemnity, subrogation, and those 2 killer lists, exclusions and warranties. These aren't just stuffy legal terms. They are the actual rules of the game you're playing. And they decide whether that promise of protection you've been paying for is a real promise that will be kept. So I'll just leave you with this one question. You've definitely paid the premiums, but have you ever actually read the rules?